Hi everyone. In last sessions, what we discussed what is the taint, what is the untaint in Terraform. After that, we discussed the replace. Taint and replace both are the same. After that, we discussed the model concept in our Terraform. So in last sessions, we discussed about here the we created one infrastructures by using of the model concept here. So already we created here the three services so which we required in my project. So we created EC2 services, then RDS services and S3 services. In that three services, these three files every time we required, so that's why we created here. So after that you can see the one input file here, then main file here, then output file is also here. Already we know that this is the input variable, this is the output variable, and this is the main.tf. So we can say call it the this is the main.tf is nothing but we can say call it the it is a main script for my EC2 instances. So whenever we're talking about of the RDS, same these are the three files, same purpose here. So we have to provide the different input variable for the RDS services, then we have to provide the main.tf for the RDS services, then output same thing for the RDS services. After that, same for the S3 bucket here. Whenever we're talking about of the here the main.tf, I think here we are not created here the model, so that's why uh, I think by mistakenly added here the models. So where we have, so we don't have any models here. This is my main folder. In this main folder, so we have the only dot, then forward slash, then EC2. This is my EC2 part. So again we have to add the ideas. Then we have to same thing for the ideas. Then same thing for the S3. So here if we added the folder, then you can add the same path like this. So we are not added any model folder here, but by mistakenly I added. So today we are going to start. So I want to create the three services by using of the model concept. So we will see here how to create the three services by using of the models concept. So what is the purpose of the models? Model is nothing but we can say called as a by using of the models we can achieve the reusability, we can achieve the maintainability in our infrastructure. So everyone can also understand and neat and clean we can say called as a our infrastructures when we use the models concept in our infrastructures. So because we required the more and more services for my project, so that's why we have to use the model concept. So today I'm going to teach here the how to create the three services by using of the models concept here. So I'm creating here the like this here. So Terraform AWS project. After that I'm going to create here what are the files we required. So we required the three files, three models. After that we require the some global files. Okay, so first here, but today we are going to create infrastructure in different way. First of all, I will create here the one variable here. In last uh, whenever we're talking about of the in last sessions, we created the input variable here, but I don't want to follow this methodology here. So I want to follow the different way methodology here. So I'm going to create here the input variables at a global level. So we will discuss later on why we are going to create like this one, because it is a maintainable, or we can say call as a we can see all variables at a one file. So that's why we are going to create it here the variables at a global level. Okay, so we are going to say call as a variables.tf here. Okay, so at that time whenever we creating the variables, so what parameters we require? So we require the first AMI, we require the EC2 variables, then we require the S3 bucket S3 services variable, then we require the RDS services variable. First, before going to create the variable here, so we need to create the first input variables. So we can say called as a here. So what are the input variables here? So I'm going to create here the another file here, Terraform like this. So you can see here the I use here the .tf vars. So you can see here the what are the parameters we require. Here we know that. So whatever we are using here the input variables here. What are the parameters here? The first of all we have the one variables. But here I'm not going to create like this here. So you can see here that we created the one variable, then we created the open curly braces, then close curly braces, then we need to the descriptions. If you want to add the description you can add it, but I don't want to like this. So I'm going to create a new method. I'm going to create here the new methodology here, we can say call it in the short. So first of all, what are the parameters we require? So first of all, in for EC2 machines we require the AMID. So already we know that, so I need to copy the AMID. So for my Linux machine, so AWS Linux machine. After that, what is my here the instance type? So what are the type of we are going to create it here? So here going to create the T3 micro. Okay. So you can see called as a we are going to create it here the machines here. After that, I'm going to create it here my key name here. So after that, you can see the so this is my key name. So you can see here the same thing we are created here. So AMI, the instance type and key name. So later on we will format and we will format our Terraform script and we will validate our Terraform script. After that, so this is my three parameters which we required for the EC2 machines. After that, we required the bucket name here because I'm going to create it here the bucket services here. So my bucket name should be already we know that unique should be unique here. Already we discussed whenever we are going to create of the bucket, every time bucket name should be unique. So I'm going to say like this Terraform. So 1 2 3 4 0 like this. I'm going to create it here. It should be alias name. Okay. After that, these are the three parameter bucket name. So that is fine for me because we are not including another parameters in my S3 bucket. After that, I want to create the DB services. So RDS services is nothing but it is a relational database services. So what parameter we required? First, we required the DB name. So already we know that. So my DB name, it should be like this. So I can say call as a DB01. Okay. After that, my DB username. So already we discussed these things in our AWS cloud computing. So we are going to create like only by using of the Terraform script here. So after that, what we required here, password here. So I'm going to create it here, the password here, like this admin uh, 1 2 3 4 5. Then after that, so I created here the Terraform tf.val. These are the parameters I required for my services. After that, I want to create the variables.tf. So what is the purpose of the variable.tf? So I'm calling the provider.tf also. So what is the here the provider.tf? So already we know that provider.tf is nothing but, so we can say as a we can represent the which type of cloud computing provider. And after that we require the some region, we need to add the region, we need to add the secret key and access key for my AWS account. So let me add at a global level. These are the three files we created here. After that, so you can see the provider.tf, then variable.tf. So in that variable.tf, so what are the parameters we need to the call here? So we require the variables. Okay. After that, we need to the add here the same thing. So I'm going to create variable for the EC2 machine. So I'm calling the AMI. So what is the AMI? So this is my AMI. So I'm calling my variable name here. So you can see here this is my variable. So I'm calling here the description because I want to maintain the in the different way and easy to maintain. So that's why I'm creating here the in different way. I created it here the tf.var. Those tf.var files I'm calling in the variable.tf. So after that, what we have the suppose I'm saying here the AMI ID. So what is my description? AMI ID for, so you can add like this EC2 machine. Okay. So after that, what are the, so you can see here the type also is there. In the type, you can represent the type. So which type data here we are adding? We are adding the string type the data here. You can see here the we are adding the which type data here? String type data. So already we know that we have the two types of we have the different types of the data, but mostly we are using here the string, and once we require the, then we can go with integer data type. But right now I'm representing here the string type of the data. So it depends on you. If you want to add, you can add it. Otherwise, you can leave it. After that, I need to add the same thing for the EC2 instances variable. I need to call the same thing for the EC2 instances. After that, I need to call the same for the key name. So these parameters just I'm calling in my variable.py. So right now I'm creating the in the different way. So if you want to add like this in the one file, you can add it. But in real time scenario, we can create like this. So we need to create the separate file for every Terraforms. We can call it for the every services. So it can be easy maintained here. You can easily add parameters here, and you can easily call the parameters. Otherwise, you can create a one file here. After that, what variable we called, what we have to call here? So we have to call the S3 bucket parameter. So this is my S3 bucket name, then this is my string. After that, what we have to call it here for the RDS services, we require the three variables here. So I have to call the three variables here. So you can call the same thing for the here for the okay. So we created here the variables.tf. After that, we created the tf.vars. After that, we created the provider.aws. So what is the provider.aws? So provider.tf. What is the purpose of the provider.tf? So it is nothing like we are representing the which cloud computing we are going to represent it here. In that we have the secret key, we have the access key, and we have the region name. Okay. So after that, so I want to create the models. So we require the one main.tf files also. We know that already what is the purpose of the main.tf file. So right now I'm going to create only global files here. So I'm not going to call any services files. I'm not calling any child services folder here. I'm not going to create it anything here. So so after that, in main.tf, what parameters we need to add it here? So we need to add the, I want to call the my model EC2. After that, I want to call the S3 model. I want to call the RDS services. These services I want to add it here. After that, we know that how to call the child model into the root model by using of the source. After that, we know that mm, same thing for the S3 bucket, same thing for the RDS. So you can see here the, so if you want to add the output.tf file, if you want to add it, otherwise you can leave it. Okay. So based on your based on your requirement, so you can add it here. So these are the parameters I am calling here. The this is my model. So you can say call it the, this is my one service, this is my one service, this is my one service. These are the three services we need to the call it here. So by using of the source, this is my source, and this is my path for my services. So we need to the add it here the one folder, models folder. After that, we need to add it here the one child folder in the models. So right now I'm going to create it here the these four files I required at a global level. So that's why I created here. After that, I'm calling here the one folder here. So we can also call it the models folder. So I created one folder here, models folder. In that models folder, I required one EC2 folder. So I think same issue for us. I required the, first of all, we have to add the main.tf file for the, sorry, I added the from, let me add here the main.tf. I call again output.tf file. So how many files we require? We require the three files. So we require the three files. So if you want to add the input, you can add it. If you, so I want to add the different name here, you can add the different names also here. So variable dot, sorry, variable dot tf also. So it depends on you. So if you want to call the input, then you can call the input here. So input dot var, otherwise you can say call it a variable dot. So if you want to change the model's name here, folder name, you can change it. So I can add the ABC. It can be anything, but while we adding the path here, so we need to the call the same thing for. So we have to follow the same path for us for the main.tf file. So after that, I will add here the one EC2 folder. Then I will add these files in this folder. Okay. So after that, I required sorry, I have to call the S3. Okay, let me check here the S3, right? Okay, so we have the same for here the S3, same folder for the S3. After that, what we have the RDS also. We have the same folder for the RDS. Okay, so these are the three folders. So again, I'm copy this file into for the RDS. Again, I'm copying for the S3 also. Okay. So these files are deleted here. Okay. So these three files we required for every services. Okay. So we created here the EC2 services here. For the EC2 services, so what we have to add it here for the main.tf. So I'm closing these folder, these folder, these folder, these folder, these folder. Okay, these files. Okay, sorry. After that, main.tf. So what we have to call it here? So we have to call like this. So I'm calling here the in main.tf first resources. What type of resources we have to call it? We have to call the here the AWS instances. After that, here the just I have added here the resources same like this input variable, then AMI. So already we added here the variables here for the AMI. So these variables I'm calling here in my main.tf. So var.ami. Again we have to same thing for the we are calling from the vars. Okay. So after that we have to call the same thing for the for each and every services. So we are calling the same vars here. So after that you can see the for the key name. So just we are calling this key name from the global level to the you can see call as a uh, we are calling this global file to the child file. So just we are calling the in main.py. After that we know that so this is my tag name. So we are going to create it here the one EC2 machine that is called as a Terraform dash EC2. Okay. So after that what we required here. So we need to the add here the output.pf. So what are the parameters I need to the call? What type of the outputs I need to the call it here? Suppose I want to call the public IP, private IP, I want to call the instance ID. Then we can write it here the code for the output.tf file. So in this output.tf file, I added the public IP, I added the private IP, and I'm calling the instance ID for my test.vm. So this is my reference name. So we are added here the for this reference name, I want to call the ID. So again, so what we have to add it is the variable because we are added here the variables. So what we have to add it here? So just we have to add like this. So if you want to add it here, then you can add like this. So variable we are added here the AMI, then which type it is? It is a string type. It is a string type. It is a string type. So that's why we added here the variable. So these are the first services we completed here. So same thing for the RDS services. For RDS services, so in main.pf file, so what are the resources we call it? So we need to the call it here the resources. So AWS DB instances I want to create it. This is my reference names. So you can add anything here. After that, what type of the storage I want to how so I want to add the 20 uh, storage here. So we can say call as a it is a storage 20 GB. So then after that which engines I want to create it. So MySQL engine I want to create it. After that engine versions already we know that 8.0. After that instance class is nothing but db dot t3.micro. After that my db name, this is my db name, just I'm calling this variable, then username I'm calling, and password I'm calling here. So here we have the one concept here that is called as a snapshot. So what is the purpose of the snapshot? Snapshot is nothing but if you want to take the backup for my databases, then we have to go with snapshot. You can see here the by default we can say call as a it is a false value, but we added here the true. Why we added here the true? Suppose we are deleted the RDS, then AWS will be take the backup, but right now we are going to create it here the databases for the our practices. So that's why we are added here the true. Suppose I'm going to create it here the one database for the my dev environment, so my UAT environment, then you can add the true here. But whenever we have the production environment, whenever we have the critical databases, whenever we have the any business related databases, then we have to add the false value here because we want to backup it. So due to some reason my databases is deleted, so it should be backup that databases. Suppose if we are not backup that databases, then what will be happen? Then our database will be deleted. So that's why I added here the snapshot should be true. So it means, so we are not taking any backup for my databases because we are creating the database for the dev environment. So whenever we are working as a real time in the project, so we have the different types of the environment. So we will talk later on what is the variables and sorry, what are the types of the environment in our project. So it depends on your project, it depends on your project architecture. Suppose so in we whenever we're talking about of the any project, so we have the common three environments. One is a dev environment, one is a SIT, and one is a UAT, and last one is that is called as a production. Suppose we are developing one project, then at that time can are we going to directly deploy our code in a production environment? No, we are not deploying our whatever we created the feature, those features codes we are not deploying directly in our production environment because we need to the test it that code is working as expected or not. Once it is tested completely from the developer side, then we have to test it functionality wise. That is called as a tester team will be test the functionality wise. Then once it is working as expected, then you in UAT environment, client will be or our business will be verified it is working or expected or not in UAT environment. Then it is working expected, then they will merge in our production environment. Because in the trial and error basis, we have to develop the code, we have to develop the features, and we have to develop our functionality for our project. Once it is working as expected, then we have to deploy our code in our production environment. But at that time, so every we need to the created databases for every suppose we have the three environment, for the three environment we have to created the three databases. So it depends on your project requirement because we have in your project architecture we have the only three environment. Some projects we have the different environment like test environment, like QA environment, like pilot environment. It depends on project architecture. So at that time we have to created the separate databases for the different environment. So we will discuss later on why we need to the created the different databases. Okay. After that, so we created here the main.pf file. So I require the output here. So I want endpoint for my databases because we need to the provided the endpoint to the developer team and they will add the logic. They will call this endpoint in the path and we can add our front end data in our databases. So that's why endpoint. Endpoint is nothing but we can call as a our database URL. Okay. After that, what are the parameters we call it here? So we have the four variables here. Then three variables. Sorry. Then we have the type is a string. Three variables. Then you can see here the sensitive. Why sensitive is a true? Because my database credentials is a sensitive. So that's why I did here the sensitive is a true. So after that what we have to call it here, so we will discuss later on. We cannot add it hard coded value like this, so we are added here the hard coded value. So what type of the sensitive data we will add it in our keyword, but for being practices, so we are adding here the in our hard coded value only. So after that, so we completed the RDS services, then I required the S3 bucket here. So in S3 bucket, so main.tf, so this is my main.tf S3 bucket name. So this is my reference name. Then we are calling here the S3 bucket reference name. So okay, so you can see call it this is my S3 bucket name. After that, we are calling here the output. So I want to get some information bucket name. Then so we are calling here the output variables are added here. So after that, same thing for the, so how many parameters in the bucket? Only one parameters we have. So that's why we are added here the only one variable. So these are the model concept we have to follow while we creating the infrastructure for our project. So what we are created here, we created the some global files, we created some child level files, and we created some global level files. And once we created here the main.tf, in that main.tf, we added here the path for my child services. So this is my one child services, this is my one child services, this is my one child services folder. So these are the three folders we are added here the in our source. We are added here for the S3 services. So we added here the one path here. Then again we added one path here. So these are the uh, models concept we have to follow while we creating the infrastructure. So after that, what we have to do here? So you can see here where we are in. We are in the Terraform. So I need to call this. So I have to navigate this folder. Then what we have to do here? cd then Terraform AWS then project. This is my project infrastructure. So you can see here. After that, what we have to do here? So we have to, how many commands we have to apply first thing. So whenever we creating first time infrastructure, so first of all we have to call the Terraform. We know that. So Terraform init command. So what is the Terraform init command? So we will add, I think something is miss out. Let me check where we missed something. Definition argument. Okay. Let me validate first. So Terraform validate, then we will get the where we did mistake. So you can see here the in RDS first variable first line we missed something here. So you can see here the what we missed here. So we missed here the, so we missed here the something like this. This is my variable password variable. So we added here the, sorry, we added here the something variable name here. So variable db username password and okay, that is fine. So we added the one variable word. Okay, so we added the one keyword. So let me validate. So again, so provider missing the required because we are not, first what we have to do here, first we have to call the init. Okay, because we don't have any provider. So what is the purpose of the provider? So we need to add the one provider, then we can validate our command. First we need to add the init command, then we will, then after that what we have to do, we have to call the validate command. You can see here the, are we going to add the validate or not here? Is there any syntax error or not? You can see here the, so we don't have any syntactical error. So we, whatever we have the configuration is validate. So that is the fine. So I want to again format my Terraform script. So that's why I added here the Terraform script. So in the main.tf, terraform.tf vars and variable.tf. So we don't have any proper format. So that's why these three files are updated here. After that, what we have to do here? So we have to call here the plan. So how many plans we have right now? We have to call the three services. So you can see here we are added here the plan. So once we added the Terraform plan, then we will get the plan here. You can see here the one log file is generating. You can see here the three plans we are going to add it here. So three plans to add: 0 to change, 0 to destroy. So after that, what we have to do? We have to go with Terraform like command. So you can add auto approvals now. You can see, but it will be take some time. Yes, I want to add them. So you can see S3 bucket, DB instances, and EC2. So we are going to create it. So it will be take some time. So you can see here the in my AWS account. Let me check. Something is miss out. So what here the so it is saying like this. So creating of the RDB services. So requested 400 alphabetically. So DB name must be literal content. So I think so it is not taking my this name. So I have to change it here. So like this, I'm going to change like this 0 1. So we have to change the value here for my reference value. Again, what we have to do here? Again, we have to init. Okay. So again, we have to add here the plan. But you can see here the once we reapply, you can see once we again added the plan here, you can see how many changes are we are going to how many changes are we going to change see here. So I think something is miss out here again. Sorry, we changed here but we missed here. Again 0 1. Okay. So again you can see here the we are going to declare. You can see here the we are going to create it here the plan to add only here. Why we are getting this one? Because we already added the S3 bucket and EC2 instances. So we got only one issue in our RDS services. So that's why we got a error from the RDS services. Again, we applied the plan. Then we are going to create it only RDS services here. So we are not going to create again EC2 S3. Already we know that. If you want to add it, then we have to replace that one. Otherwise, we cannot add the duplicate value. We cannot do, we cannot add the duplicate services in our AWS account. So already we added, so that's why we are going to add only one plan here. Again, what we have to do here? We have to again apply command here. So it will be take some time. You can see here the in the EC2 services. In EC2 services, already we created one EC2 one EC2 instances because in first time we created. Now in S3 bucket you can search S3 bucket. It's already created. Just we need to create the RDS only. So we have to go with S3. Here you can see the this is my bucket name. You can see. So where we created? So we created the Singapore region. So you can see here the already I created some Mumbai region. then I created another region, so that's why we are going to see the another S3 bucket. So elastic bin stack already we created, so that's why we can see here. But whenever we're talking about of the our S3 bucket, it's created. You can see the it will be take some time. So sorry, for the RDS services I have to add it. Yes, I want to add it here. So we are going to add only one here, I think. So we are getting the one issue here. So why it is saying like this? Because we don't have any debug in the Terraform. So we don't have any debug concept in the Terraform. So we have to call it line by line here. So creating the S3 then okay. So I think so whenever suppose I am getting this issue, so where we can see, so if you want to check this, if you are not understanding why we are getting this error, so we have to chat GPT also. We can call the chat GPT. Okay, in the chat GPT you can ask different concept. So you can see already I asked some corrections, each and everything you can ask. Okay, otherwise you can ask to chat, otherwise you can search on the Stack Overflow. So you can copy and paste it here. You will get the latest one. You can see on the Stack Overflow. You will get the answer on the Stack Overflow. So this is one also website you can ask. So you can ask everywhere if you want to ask. Okay. So it is saying like this. So why we are getting this one? So common RDS validation error. Terraform is working fine. AWS is rejecting your DB name is passed. So what we have to do here? So my DB name is should be like this, because so it is saying like you can see here the AWS is rejecting my database name. So that's why we are getting this error. So what we have to do here? We have to change the my DB name. Sorry. So I have to call like this, because while we creating the infrastructure, so we will get number of issues. So we have to find it the number of issues. So in the real time scenario also we will get the number of issues. So we can find it on the Stack Overflow. So right now we have the chat GPT. So you can ask to the chat GPT. Suppose some companies are not allowing the chat GPT. So you have the Copilot also in your VS Code. You can ask to the Copilot also. It depends on you. Otherwise you can search on the Stack Overflow. So you will get it the real time answer on your Stack Overflow also. So you can see here the, so what we have to do here, so you can see here the my DB name also alphanumeric here. So must be alphanumeric. Let me check. In the main dot here, it's, let's see. Again we have to apply the plan. So it will be take some time. So we are going to add the apply. Let's see, are we going to create it or not here? Yes, we are going to create it. Let me, sorry, after that we will get answer. are we going to create? Same issue. Let's see. We will ask to the chat GPT where we are issue. So we will ask to the chat GPT. Yes, we added the correct name here. So Terraform also is rejecting my date. Okay. Here we have to change it also. Also where we have to change it. Let's see. So we are added here the Terraform app. This variable name also we have to change it. This is my this is my Terraform dot. In the variable, let me check first once again. Okay, main.tf. In main.tf also we missed here. Where is my main.tf? We missed here the RDS. So where is my RDS name here? DB name. Already we used here the DB name. No, we used here the like this concept. We use the different way. So where we have the again value here. Let me check earlier what was the name. No, I don't want to change anything in that. So where we change the value, so we change the value here. So this is my DB name. So again let me find out where we have the, no, we don't have any. Let me find out where we have the, again, no, we don't have any my DB name. So that is the fine. So we don't have any. So let me change this one. Otherwise we will ask to everything for the chat GPT. So let me select again Init. So you can see here we are using the previous version only. So once we init, then we have to add the plan. So only one services we are not going to create it here due to some error. Let's see what will be happen now. Yes, I want to create it. So you can see here it is taking my correct RDS service name right now, because earlier we applied only one. So earlier we didn't use any init command once we change our database name. So first we have to, whatever we change the parameters in our services, we have to apply the init command, then again we have to apply the plan, then again we have to apply the apply command. So these three steps we have to follow once we change the parameters, once we change the configurations in our services, because it is not, otherwise it won't be take the correct configuration. So that's why we are getting again and again the same error in that. So it will be take some time. So we have to wait for some time here. So it will be created. So let me close all those things. Okay. So it will be created. So before so let's see here the uh, it will be take some time. So we will discuss our next topic here. So it will be take some time. So that's why we have the next concept. It's a small concept. So that is called as a parameters. Sorry, not parameters. That we can call as a environment of environments. Okay. So environments is nothing but whenever we're talking about of the any of the project, so we have the different environment. So suppose we have the one project. So like this, we have the one project. In this one project, so we have the four environment. So whenever we're talking about of the common environment, here, first one is a dev environment. Again we have the UAT environment, no, UAT, SIT. Okay, SIT environment. Then again we have the UAT environment. These are the three environment, and this is my production environment, prod environment. So these are the environment. So whenever we're talking about the dev environment, and whenever we're talking about the different environment, what is the dev environment? Dev environment is nothing but a developer has to create the code in this environment, uh, not create the for particular of the environment. Developer has to create the unit testing in the dev environment. So mostly developer will use this dev environment. So then SIT environment is nothing but it's we can suppose as a tester will start the testings in the SIT environment. It's we can suppose as a system integration testings. Again we have the UAT environment, that is called as a user acceptance testing environment. So user will be accept this environment code only. Okay. So whenever we're talking about the environment here, so I required, suppose we created one here, the Terraform file. Okay. So sorry guys. So I want to create the one EC2 machines. Then I want to create the one EC2 machines for the four environment. But whenever we're talking about of the four environment here, so are we going to create the same configuration for the four environment? No, we are not going to create the four same configurations for the four environment. So in the dev environment, so whenever we're talking about of the here the it will be take some time. So that's why we are discussing here the environments here. So you can see here the where is my sorry, so state file. Why I'm going to with state file? Okay. So you can see here the this is my instance types. So T3 micro. So we are going to create it here the T3 micro for the my dev environment. Whenever we're talking about the SIT environment, so in SIT environment, so I have to call the same Terraform script for the same for all environment. But in this environment, we have the different instance types. Here I'm going to use it here the T3 macro. Here I'm going to use it here the T3 medium. I'm going to use it here the for large for the UAT environment. Then same thing for the production environment for the X large. So whenever we are going to create it here the medium, so we can say call it the 1 GB RAM for my EC2 machines. For SIT, same for the 4 GB RAM, for the 8 GB RAM, for the 16 GB RAM. So whenever we're talking about of the here the configurations for the different environment, so we have the different values. So every time are we going to changes here every time in my so I want to create it here the environment for dev environment. Then are we going to change this every time T through T3 micro? So again we are going to changes here the medium like this. So are we going to changes? No. Every time we are not going to changes. This is not good practices, and sometimes we are changing. It will be mistake for from our end side. So then what we have to do here? So we have to apply the filter concept here. So filters is nothing but we can say called as a, so it is a, in short, we can say called as a, we have to change the value for the dynamically. Dynamically is nothing but, so I want to create it, uh, I want to create it the one EC2 machines for the dev environment. Then what we have to do here? So we have to apply the same thing for the, suppose I want to apply the, so I want to apply here, so you can see here the, sorry, so I want to create it here the, here, so I want to create it T3 macro for the dev environment. Then what we have to do here? So we have to apply the same here, Terraform apply. Then I'm applying here the filter, so it is called as a dynamic value. So you can see here the dash dash var, then dash file, then input dot dev dash dot pf vars. So that's why I created here the different var files here. So that's why I created the one var pf files here at a global level. So for the dev environment, I will create it I will create it one variable file. For the UAT environment, I will create it for the one variable file. Then for SIT I will create it. Then again for the production environment I will create it one variable files. Then I will, suppose I want to create it the dev environment, then we have to apply the this command. Then it will be created EC2 machines for my T3 macro as per my instance types. Again for whenever we apply the production environment, then it will be created. So we have to change only input, only we have to change what we have to change it here. So we have to change here the like this production, then dot tf vars. So just we have to change the one value here. We can suppose it's a dynamic filter. So in short, suppose I want to keep in mind, so that's why we consider it as a, it's a filter. So why we need to the use it? So by using of this concept, environment concept, we can achieve the reusability and in our project. So why we require the environment? What is the environment? Environment means it is a platform that is the required to run our application. So it is a platform, so in short the one platform. So you can see here the Flipkart application. Flipkart applications where we are running the Flipkart application on the WebEx application. So this is my platform. It can be browser, Chrome browser, it can be Mozilla Firefox browser, it can be Edge browser. It depends on you. But whenever we're talking about the environment, so environment is nothing but it is a platform. So for the environment, we require the servers, we require the databases, we require the storage, we require the network. These are the things for our application. So I want to run it. So that's why we need to the created the one platform. Then we will execute this platform on our browsers. So that's why we can say call as a environment of the projects we required every time. So whatever we, suppose whenever we're talking about of the lower environment here, this environment no one can access it at a user level, at a user level. These are the three environment we can say called that for the testing purpose, for the trial and error basis we have to use it. And once we completed the proper code, we can say called as my code is working as expected and my feature is working as expected, then we have to push it our code in the production environment. Then user can access only production environment. These three lower environment who will be accessing only project level team will be access for the dev environment, SIT environment, and UAT environment. Whenever we're talking about of the environment here, you can see here so these three environments, I don't want to require the more instance type here. So I don't want to require, so we in the dev environment we have the some uh, 2 to 3 people. It's whenever we talk about the my small project, so that's why I don't want to more configuration machines here for my dev environment. So that's why I'm going to create it 1 GB RAM machines for the dev environment. So SIT environment, I'm going to say, so here developer testers need to test it more efficiently. So that's why I'm using here the more configuration machine here. So that's why I'm adding here the medium here. Whenever we're talking about the UAT environment, UAT in a UAT environment, so we can say called as a, this is my UAT environment. In this UAT environment, we can say called as a my businesses will be tested, so it should be efficiently test. So whatever we have the feature, so that's why I'm adding here the more configuration machine. So that's why we have to use it here the environment concept, and we have to change the value at a dynamically in our PowerShells. You can see here the in our terminal we have to change it here the input. So I'm applying here the one filter here, so that is called the environment. So I want to keep in your, I want to keep in my mind, so that's why I'm saying here the, this is my filter. So we can easily apply the my variables files for the different environment, and we can create it the different machines for my environment. So you can see here the, we added only one resources. Earlier we added the two resources, after that we got a one error for the RDS services. Then that's why we can see the only one service added here. So I want to check it. So my services are added or not in my AWS account. Then how we can check it here? So we have the, we need to go with particular the services here. In EC2 services, you can see here the, in the dashboard you can see the, this is my instance name Terraform, then dash EC2, this is my Terraform. So I'm going to delete it this one also. So whatever you created, we have to delete it, otherwise bill will be generated. Then S3, you can see here the my S3 services also is created here. Here, where is my, here Terraform demo, this is my, you can see here the Terraform demo. I'm going to delete it this one also. This is my bucket. So if you want to already we discussed it in S3 bucket, versioning concept, each and everything in that, so you can add it from the Terraform side. Okay, after that what was the third service? It's a RDS service. You can see here the, we created one RDS services. You can see here the, in that you can see this is my DB identifier Terraform, this is my, okay. So I'm going to delete it also, this one. Delete me, sorry. Okay, so these three services we created by using of the Terraform script, and we use the models concept. What we learned, we created three services by using of the Terraform. Again, what we learn here the environment of the project. So what is the environment? Environment is nothing but it is a platform to run our application. So we require the one platform for run my application. So that's why we require the environments. So after that, uh, how to change it the environment here? How to, suppose I want to create it the one environment for the production, then we have to change the value here, because every time we are not going to change each and every parameter. So we will create a separate configuration for separate environment. So we will create one separate configuration variable file for each and every environment. So that is, we can say, called as the environment concept. Okay. So that's it for today. In upcoming sessions, we will discuss our next topic. Thank you guys.